Sheng. He lowered his voice. Where did that 500,000 yuan deposit for the medicine come from? I won it on digital horse racing. I answered simply. He stared at me for a few seconds. Then he let out a cold, mocking laugh. Chen Zuisheng, you've been gambling for years? You've never brought home a single cent. And now that your daughter is sick, you suddenly win a fortune. I didn't respond. I bet you crawled to Liu Xingrong and begged for it. You acted so noble before, refusing to take it. Now you're back on your knees, groveling for a loan. Let me tell you something. Don't you dare let that 1 million yuan debt drag the Shu family down. With that, he turned and walked away. I stood there, watching him leave. Over the next month, Qianqian remained hospitalized. Idiopathic pulmonary arterial hypertension is extremely rare. In this country, we could only rely on imported targeted drugs. Despite our efforts, her condition continued to deteriorate bit by bit. Xu Meng and I took turns watching over her. She took the day shift, and I took the night. When I was tired, I'd catch a few minutes of sleep on the hallway chairs. When I was hungry, I'd eat the cheapest boxed meals from the cafeteria. The rest of the Xu family never showed their faces. I knew Xu Meng was hurting inside, but she never said a word. Sometimes I'd wake up in the middle of the night and see her slumped by the bed, staring blankly while holding Qianqian's tiny hand. A month later, the Xu family finally showed up. The doctor was finishing an examination on Qianqian. After he was done, the doctor spoke to us. The current medication can only delay the progression of the disease. It cannot reverse it. If this continues, the strain on the child's heart and lungs will only get heavier. The first thing Xu Zhengqi asked about was the money. That 500,000 yuan must be almost gone by now, right? Xu Hai added coldly. Have you figured out how you're going to pay it back? That money wasn't a loan, Xu Ming said. It wasn't a loan, Giu Manru interrupted. What? Did it just fall from the sky then? Xu Zhengqi stood before everyone, pointing a finger at my face as he yelled, Chen Zuisheng, you liar. You've ruined my daughter and my granddaughter. I suppressed my anger. Dad, keep your voice down. Don't upset the child. You think you're worthy of calling me Dad? Just then, the ward door was pushed open. The doctor entered, followed by several specialists. I have some news. The doctor looked toward us. A team of specialists from a top international heart and lung center is about to launch an advanced intervention program here. It combines gene-targeted therapy with the reconstruction of pulmonary microcirculation. Combined with precise targeted regulation, there is a chance to completely reverse the condition. He paused for a moment. Qianqian's vitals happened to meet all the criteria. Xu Meng suddenly gripped my hand. Her eyes were red. But we must start the treatment process immediately. The initial cost is 1 million yuan. I turned and walked out of the ward. At the end of the hallway, I called Gu Weidong. Don't worry about the money anymore. He told me that Professor Robert was someone he personally invited from Zurich. Has reviewed your daughter's case and said it's better than expected. The surgical outcome should be ideal. Thank you. I'm the one who should be thanking you. He paused for a moment. My wife and daughter have found a protector in you, Mr. Chen. I will remember this favor. I hung up the phone. I headed back to the payment counter. By the time I returned to the ward door, I could hear Xu Zhengqi's voice from inside. See, the moment money is mentioned, he disappears. Meng, as long as you get a divorce, the Xu family will take care of this. Xu Meng's voice was very soft, but incredibly firm. Mom, Dad, I appreciate the offer, but it's really not necessary. Zuisheng already paid another 1 million yuan deposit the day before yesterday. The room fell silent for several seconds. A nurse pushed the door open to prepare for surgery. She mentioned casually, the child's father just paid another 1 million. It's for post-operative care and imported targeted medications. I stood at the door. I looked at Xu Zhengqi, Giu Manru, and Xu Hai. All three of them were frozen in shock. The red light outside the operating room was on. Xu Meng leaned against my shoulder. Her body was trembling slightly. I took her hand. Professor Robert is a world-renowned expert in pulmonary hypertension. Has performed 27 of these surgeries. Every single one was a success. Everything will be fine. Xu Hai walked over with a dark expression. Chen Zuisheng, just how much money did you borrow from President Liu? I looked up at him.
My business is none of your concern.
2 million yuan. Even if the Xu family sold our house, we couldn't cover that. He turned to Xu Meng. Sis, tell me the truth. Xu Meng was just about to speak. Xu Zhengqi strode over and pointed right at my nose. Why are you asking him? He's only good at lying and gambling. He turned to Xu Meng. Meng Meng, Dad currently has 1 million yuan in savings. As long as you agree to a divorce, I'll transfer this money to you immediately. But tomorrow morning, I was planning to invest this money into the pension mortgage project led by Director Zhou. Guiu Manru stood nearby and explained, the annual return is at least 30%. This is an internal opportunity within the retired officials' circle. It's a 10-year contract. After 10 years, not only will the company return the house exactly as it is, but there will also be additional returns on the capital. Director Zhou already said it. This is a national pilot project. There are only a few spots available. Your mom and I figured we'd let the money make money. In the end, it'll all be left to you kids anyway. I looked at Xu Zhengqi. Dad, the model you just mentioned, is mortgaging real estate to a third-party company in exchange for pension funds, right? Xu Zhengqi froze for a moment. His face clearly showed disdain. My old superior personally vouched for it. It's a legitimate company contract, and I've already had a lawyer look it over. What do you know? This is a new scam that's popped up in the last 2 years. These so-called professional companies are usually just shell corporations. Their registered capital is only a few tens of thousands of yuan. Sure, they'll pay the pension on time for the first few months. But by the time people realize what's happening, both their houses and their money will be completely gone. Director Zhou is either being scammed himself, or, well, I haven't even finished.
Bullshit.
Xu Zhengqi flew into a rage. Our lifelong connections and networks. Is it your place, you drunkard, to point fingers at them? The contract is in black and white. You think the government wouldn't regulate it? I think you're just jealous. Dad. Xu Meng suddenly stood up. Her voice trembled. Take your project and go. I don't need your money anymore. Whether Qianqian lives or dies, I'll bear it alone. Xu Zhengqi's face turned pale. He pointed at his daughter, speechless for a long time. Finally, he flung his hand down. Fine. Don't you dare regret this? Gay Manra's eyes were red as she sighed. Xu Hai wanted to say something but stopped. The whole family turned and left. The area outside the operating room suddenly fell dead silent. Xu Meng slumped down onto the bench. Tears fell silently from her eyes. I gently wrapped my arm around her shoulders. 4 hours later, the operating room light turned off. The attending physician walked out. A smile bloomed on his face. The surgery was a great success. She needs to be monitored in the ICU for 48 hours. But the post-operative prognosis is very optimistic. Xu Meng's legs gave out. I caught her just in time. She covered her face. Tears streamed through her fingers, but this time they were tears of joy. 2 months later, Qian was cleared for discharge. Her complexion was much rosier. Although she still needed medication and regular checkups, she could already run and jump around. To celebrate her new lease on life, we made a reservation at a newly opened high-end steakhouse. When she was in the hospital, I promised her that once she got better, I'd take her to eat the best steak ever. The atmosphere in the steakhouse was very elegant. Qian excitedly swung her little legs in her chair. Xu Meng helped her spread her napkin. All the dishes had been served. I was just about to cut the steak when a sharply dressed young man walked past our aisle. He casually glanced over, and his eyes stopped on Xu Meng. He suddenly froze. Looking at Xu Meng, a look of surprise crossed his face. Soon after, it morphed into a meaningful smirk. He took a few steps closer. His gaze swept over me and Qian, lingering on Qian for a moment longer. Finally, his eyes returned to Xu Meng's face. I heard you got married, and this is... Xu Meng's fingers tightened slightly. This man was Zhou Feng, the blind date Xu Meng's parents had tried so hard to set her up with back in the day. Seeing him, Xu Meng's body visibly stiffened. Zhou Feng. Xu Meng's voice was a bit unnatural. What a coincidence. Zhou Feng turned to me, sizing me up from head to toe. The scrutinizing look was blatantly obvious. He held out his hand. You must be Mr. Chen.
A pleasure. Is this your kid?
She has gotten so big. I stood up and shook his hand. He intentionally squeezed a bit harder. I didn't flinch, just looked at him calmly. Since it's such a coincidence, you wouldn't mind if we joined you, right? Zhou Feng said, taking advantage of the situation. He turned and introduced the heavily made-up woman behind him. Hyping! This is an old friend of mine, Xu Meng and her husband. Meng, this is my girlfriend. He emphasized the words old friend and girlfriend with heavy implication. Whipping's eyes quickly swept over Xu Meng, finally landing on Xu Meng's clothes. A look of smug superiority appeared on her face. She smiled. Sister Xu.
Right. What a coincidence.
Let's sit together. Under the table, Xu Meng gently grabbed my hand. I squeezed her hand back, I smiled at he, weeping. Calling her sister Shu is too polite. You look much more mature than my wife. He, Whipping's face stiffened. Zhou Feng ordered a few expensive dishes, then looked at me. Mr. Chen, where do you work these days? I just run a small business. I replied calmly. A small business is good too.
Lots of freedom.
Zhou Feng turned to the waiter. Bring us a bottle of 2015 Montrachet white wine. Let it breathe first. He rattled off the wine's name fluently, then looked toward Xu Meng. Meng. I remember you didn't drink much before, but this restaurant's white wine paired with seafood is truly a masterpiece. You should try a little. He, Wiping, immediately chimed in.
That's right.
Feng is very particular about his food and drinks. This bottle probably isn't cheap, is it? On the surface, she was asking Zhou Feng, but her eyes darted toward Xu Meng. Zhou Feng feigned nonchalance. It's all right, as long as it pairs well with today's meal. That's what matters. The wine was quickly brought over. The waiter, following proper etiquette, poured a little wine into Zhou Feng's glass for him to taste. Zhou Feng gently swirled the glass, took a sniff, took a sip, let the aftertaste linger in his mouth for a moment, and then nodded. It's good. He put on quite a show throughout the whole process. The waiter was about to pour wine for everyone. I raised my hand and gently stopped him. I picked up the wine glass in front of Xu Meng and said to the waiter, please change this glass. This glass hasn't been chilled long enough. It'll affect the fruity aroma and mineral notes of the Montrachet, especially its relatively delicate structure. The waiter was stunned. He hurriedly apologized and went to get a new glass. I took the new glass, inspected it carefully, and then signaled that he could pour the wine. The calm facade on Zhou Feng's face began to crack. Xu Meng looked at me in astonishment. She picked up her glass and carefully took a small sip. Zhou Feng cleared his throat. Mr. Chen seems quite knowledgeable about wine glasses. However, the characteristics of the Montrachet region are actually more prominent. It achieves a balance between the elegance of Pouligny and the richness of Chassagne. I gave a faint smile. The vintage of this bottle is decent, but if you really wanted to pair it with today's seafood, then actually, the Corton from the neighboring estate, the Corton Charlemagne Dry White, the 2014 vintage would probably complement the structure much better. Zhou Feng's expression faltered. His face darkened as he changed the subject. Meng, I started my own landscaping company 2 years ago, specializing in auxiliary projects for major real estate developments. It's hard work, sure, but the income is pretty good. He held up 2 fingers and wagged them. He, Wiping, immediately chimed in. Feng is being too modest. He makes over 2 million yuan a year. You know, the Xingrong Group, for their high-end real estate properties, were the ones handling all the landscaping. She looked toward Xu Meng, pretending to care. If you two ever want to buy a house, just come to Feng. He's very close with a lot of developers. He can definitely get you the lowest internal price. I saw Xu Meng's lips press tightly together. Zhou Feng looked at me, pretending to be generous as he waved his hand.
Hyping, don't say that.
Meng, it really is time for you guys to upgrade from that old house of yours. If you need help, just say the word anytime. I can get you the internal price. It'll definitely be hundreds of thousands cheaper than the market rate. Xu Meng's fingers clenched tightly under the table. I gently held her hand. No need. If we want a discounted house, I have my own channels. Zhou Feng clearly looked unconvinced. This isn't the time to act tough. I heard money's been pretty tight for you two lately. Saving hundreds of thousands is real money. Why let your pride get in the way? He, Wiping, immediately echoed him. Exactly. Feng is really close with the bosses at the development companies. All it takes is one word from him. Wouldn't it be better to use the money you saved to buy some nutritious food for your kid? The place you guys are living in right now. Yikes. We genuinely just want what's best for you. His gaze swept over Xu Meng's clothes. Xu Meng's face flushed red. She was about to speak up, but my hand gently held hers back under the table. I picked up my water glass and took a sip. The anger in my heart began to flare up. Today was a day to celebrate my daughter's new lease on life. I didn't come here to listen to you two put on a double act. I was just about to tell them to get lost. Mr. Chen. A slightly surprised voice came from behind. We looked over and saw Liu Xingrong striding over from the private rooms, a genuine smile on his face. I was a bit surprised. When I came in, I saw the wall of fame and noticed a photo of him with the owner. I didn't expect to actually run into him. President Liu, you're here. Zhou Feng sprang up like he was on a spring, knocking his chair over with a clatter. A loud crash rang out. His face was full of sycophancy. He bowed and reached out with both hands to greet him. President Liu, What a coincidence. I'm Joe Feng from the landscaping company. At your company's appreciation banquet late last year, I even offered you a toast. Do you remember me? As he spoke, he even shot us a smug glance. Lu Xingrong frowned slightly. He clearly didn't remember this guy, but his eyes quickly swept past Joe Feng and landed on me. Out of politeness, Lu Xingrong still reached out and shook his hand. His tone was indifferent. Hello? Just a light handshake like that. But Joe Feng looked like head just downed a shot of Mao Tai. His cheeks flushed red, and his spine straightened up. However, Liu Xingrong almost immediately withdrew his hand and turned toward me. He strode right past the dumbfounded Joe Feng and extended his hand to me. Hello, Mr. Chen. What a coincidence. Ever since our last meeting, I've been wanting to get in touch with you, but I was afraid of interrupting your family time. Running into you today must be fate. I stood up and shook his hand.
Hello, President Liu.
Long time no see.
I saw Joe Feng standing to the side, his eyes wide as saucers. He looked like had been struck by lightning, rooted to the spot. The eager smile on his face hadn't even faded yet, now mixed with sheer astonishment. His expression was indescribably ridiculous. He wiping didn't know who Lu Xingrong was. She only saw her boyfriend being brushed aside, while a fruit seller like me was chatting and laughing with this distinguished man. She pursed her lips and muttered just loud enough to be heard. Wow. Nowadays, even fruit sellers can talk real estate. What a joke. The moment those words left her mouth, the atmosphere instantly froze. Lu Xingrong's smile vanished. His gaze swept over he wiping, then back to me, his eyes carrying a questioning look. I let go of his hand and said calmly, "They're old acquaintances of my wife. Just ran into them. They're quite enthusiastic too. Heard we wanted to buy a house and insisted on getting us an internal discount for your project." Lu Xingrong was a sly old fox. He understood the situation the moment he heard it. A smile reappeared on his face, but it was now laced with tact and a hint of coldness. He looked at me, his voice booming. "Oh, my brother?
Listen to what you're saying.
He patted my arm. With our relationship, if you're buying a house from me, why even talk about discounts? His gaze shifted to the dumbfounded Joe Feng and he weeping. His smile remained unchanged, but his tone carried a casual, condescending air. My brother's sister-in-law and the little one too. He looked at Qianqian kindly. Whichever project or house of mine you have your eye on, just say the word. He waved his hand, decisively. I'll just give you one. Those words were like a thunderclap. I saw Zhou Feng's face turn deathly pale in an instant. His eyes bulged as if they were about to pop out of his head. His mouth hung open and his body swayed. He wiping was completely stunned. She looked at Lu Xingrong, then at me, and then at her boyfriend's shell-shocked state. She opened her mouth but couldn't utter a word. When Liu Xingrong brought us into his private room, the three senior executives inside were clearly taken aback. Lu Xingrong enthusiastically introduced me. "This is Mr. Chen Zuisheng, my benefactor." The three executives stood up and nodded in greeting, but their eyes couldn't hide their doubt. "What kind of benefactor is this young?" And he brought his wife and kid along. Lu Xingrong personally poured tea for me.
Brother, thank you for the heads up last time.
The Kuihu Tiandi project increased in value just like you predicted. Profits are up by 30%. The board of directors just decided to go all in on that area for the next 2 years. I set my teacup down and said calmly, "President Liu, the subway extension has been finalized, but Ninghai's focus for the next 5 years won't be in the east."
What?
The three of them exclaimed in unison. Director Wang of marketing frowned. "Mr. Chen,
What do you mean by that?
we've conducted detailed surveys. The land reserves in that area are abundant. Plus, with the support of the subway line, it's definitely a value depression." Director Zhou of the investment department added. The city government's work report also mentioned expanding the urban framework to the east. The policy direction is very clear. Vice President Zhang didn't say anything, but his eyes clearly showed suspicion. Lu Xingrong leaned forward, waiting for my next words. I looked him straight in the eye. "Everything you guys said makes sense, but you've all missed one crucial variable, the anti-corruption campaign." The private room instantly fell silent. The new mayor was transferred from the Nanchang New District of Linxi. That place just went through a massive personnel shakeup last year. If his first fire isn't aimed at cleaning up the bureaucracy, how is he supposed to establish his authority? I lightly tapped my finger on the table. The eastward expansion involves too many things: land use rights transfers, demolition compensation, project bidding. The water is too deep. During this sensitive time, he won't touch it. On the contrary, my voice was full of certainty. Hell, choose the path of least resistance. The direction that's easiest to generate political achievements. I pointed my finger. The renovation of the old neighborhoods in the Southwest and the expansion of the Riverside area, property rights, they are very complicated. As a result, no one dares to casually meddle in it. It has the foundation of a township area and the advantage of riverside scenery. As long as the policy leans slightly in that direction, its value will instantly skyrocket. As for the East, I shook my head. Right now, that place is like a pressure cooker. Anyone who jumps in could get trapped under the lid, unable to escape. They won't be able to budge for 3 to 5 years. As soon as I finished speaking, the whole room was dead silent. I saw the expressions of those 3 senior executives freeze on their faces. Liu Xingrong's hand, holding his tea, stopped in midair. His eyes shifted from shock to sudden realization. He suddenly recalled that at a banquet a few days ago, a certain leader had casually mentioned upgrading the old neighborhoods. That's also a direction. I turned my head and caught Xu Meng's gaze. Her eyes were wide open, looking at me in utter astonishment.
Shocking.
Truly shocking, Liu Xingrong muttered, repeating it to himself. Then, he slammed his teacup down and suddenly stood up. He walked around the table, picked up the teapot, and personally poured me more tea. If we only consider the economics, without taking politics into account, then it'd truly be a reckless fool. Brother Chen, you've taught us an incredibly important lesson today. I saw the 3 senior managers take a sharp breath. Since when had Liu Xingrong ever been this humble with anyone? You flatter me, Brother Liu. I smiled. I was just speaking my mind. Please forgive me if I said anything out of line. Just speaking your mind. Liu Xingrong shook his head. Every word you said is worth its weight in gold. Actually, gold doesn't even cut it. Those words are worth tens of billions. Liu Xingrong sat back down, his eyes gleaming. You've done me such a massive favor. I can't just take it for nothing. Everything I promised outside still stands.
What kind of house do you 2 want?
I'll gift you one. Under the table, Xu Meng suddenly squeezed my hand. There is no need for a gift. I shook my head. I'll buy it. Where do you want to buy? Take your pick. I'll give you the absolute lowest price. I smiled. I want the Southeast Zone, the stalls at the Wanjiahui Wholesale Market, and a small apartment in Wenshin Jiayuan right next door. Around 80 or 90 square meters will do. I saw everyone freeze in shock. The Southeast Zone was a remote plot of land the company hadn't fully developed yet. It was just filled with supplementary buildings, low-tier properties that basically made no money. Are you messing with me, brother? Liu Xingrong frowned. That place is way too remote. Let me give you a high-end Riverview apartment at Jinbi Haiyan. I still shook my head. I'm in the fruit business. Being near the wholesale market suits me better, and having a house right next door makes daily life easier. Liu Xingrong stared at me for a few seconds. Suddenly, he laughed. A somewhat helpless but highly appreciative smile. All right, if you're dead set on buying it, I won't stop you. Let's do this. He slapped the table. Pick whichever stall you want. I'll give it to you at the cost price of 100,000 yuan. If you offer even a penny more, I'll get mad at you. 100,000 yuan. That was practically giving it away. I raised my cup in agreement. Deal. Brother Liu, thank you. The 2 teacups clinked lightly. I could feel it. Xu Meng's eyes were glued to my face. She looked at me, then at the 3 senior managers who were still dumbfounded. Her lips parted, but in the end, she didn't say a word. After making an appointment with Liu Xingrong to check out the commercial spaces tomorrow, we headed home. Xu Meng stopped by the fruit stall first. She really wanted to upgrade our little stall into a wholesale dealership at the big market or supermarket. I let her clean up the odds and ends of the stall first, while I carried Qianqian home. Just as we entered the residential compound, I was stopped by Auntie Huang, who was walking her grandson. Oh my, Qianqian. Last time you were playing with Xiaobao. What did Grandma tell you? Kids need to be obedient. If you don't listen to me, you'll get sick. Remember hearing these words. A fierce anger flared up inside me. Whether my daughter was a good girl or not, wouldn't I know best?
Did she get sick because she was naughty and disobedient?
Bullshit.
I looked down. Little Qian was clearly terrified, shrinking back behind me. Qian, I said clearly. From now on, when you're outside, no matter who makes you uncomfortable, just come tell Daddy. Daddy will protect you. With that, I turned to leave. Hey now, don't be in such a rush. She chased after me. I heard Qianqian's illness cost a fortune. Are you guys planning to sell your house? I stopped in my tracks. Who told you that? The whole neighborhood is talking about it. If you're really selling, let me buy it. We're neighbors after all. Just don't make the price too steep, all right. As she spoke, she dug into her grandson's dirty pocket. pulled out a piece of candy and tried to shove it into Kiankian's mouth. Have some candy. I grabbed her wrist, snatched the candy away, and tossed it aside. The house is not for sale. Stop listening to nonsense. With that, I turned and headed upstairs. Behind me, her curses rang out. Pfft, you're just a family-ruining loser. What are you acting all high and mighty for? Serves you right for being dead broke. After Shumeng came home, hearing it was Auntie Huang. Her face darkened. She's the biggest gossip in the neighborhood. Don't let her get to you. We didn't pay it any mind, but I never expected that idle gossip could stir up such a storm. The next evening, I was playing with Chan when Shumeng's phone rang. She picked it up, listened for a moment, and her expression completely changed. Mom, what are you saying? We are absolutely not selling the house. She hung up. She looked at me, her brows furrowed tightly. My mom said Auntie Huang bumped into them at the supermarket. She told them we were planning to sell the house. My dad is furious. I was just about to explain. When the phone rang again, it was Liu Xingrong's secretary calling to confirm the time for viewing the shop tomorrow. After hanging up, I saw Shumeng staring at me. She hesitated to speak.
What's wrong?
Nothing. She shook her head, then added, my dad is very stubborn. If he actually believed Auntie Huang,
He's definitely going to do something about it.
I held her hand. As for the house, everything will be cleared up once we finish the paperwork tomorrow. She nodded, but the worry on her brow didn't fade. What I didn't know was that at this very moment, Xu Zhengqi was tearing his house apart looking for the property deed. Found it. He tightly gripped the dark red booklet. Targeting this house, huh? His eyes were filled with malice. Isn't that what he's after? Fine. I'll give him exactly what he wants. Guillaume Manru stood beside him, her eyes red. Old Shu, if you really do this? What about Meng Meng? What about Meng Meng? Xu Zhengqi cut her off. She's been completely bewitched by that bastard. If we wait until Chen Zuisheng gets his hands on this house, then she and the kid will truly have nowhere to live. He stuffed the property deed into his jacket. Gritting his teeth, he said, I'm getting this done tomorrow. Once the reverse mortgage paperwork is finalized, this house will have absolutely nothing to do with them anymore. Unless Chen Zuisheng gets the hell out, and Meng Meng agrees to a divorce. Otherwise, they can forget about ever living in this house. Guillaume Manru opened her mouth to say something, but ultimately stayed silent. Outside the window, the night was pitch black. The lights in the residential compound went out one by one. During breakfast, Xu Meng looked very happy. I could feel her excitement about going to see the shop space today. Qian swung her little legs and asked her mom, are we going to have a super big fruit shop from now on?
That's right.
Xu Meng's voice was gentle. Qian can eat whatever she wants. Yay. The fragrant aroma of porridge mingled with the smell of fried eggs. Simple, yet peaceful. But it didn't last long. Bang, bang, bang. Heavy, urgent knocking echoed from the door. Xu Meng went to open it. Xu Zhengqi and his wife stood outside, their faces pale with anger. Mom, Dad, what's wrong? Sorry to interrupt your little house-selling meeting. Xu Zhengqi marched straight through the door, glaring daggers right at me. Selling the house? Xu Meng was stunned. Guillaume Manru, her eyes red, pointed at me. Chen Zuisheng, are you drowning in debt? And that's why you came up with the idea to sell the house? Do you have no shame at all? I put down my chopsticks. Mom, Dad, you've misunderstood. I don't owe any money and am not selling the house. Shut your mouth. Xu Zhengqi roared, cutting me off. Is there a single word of truth that comes out of your mouth? He turned to look at Xu Meng, his voice rising sharply. Meng Meng, you have to divorce him. Divorce him right now. He's 2 million yuan in debt. He's even about to sell the house. If you don't divorce him, are you planning to drag Qianqian out to sleep on the streets? Xu Meng panicked. Mom, Dad,
You've got it all wrong.
none of that is true. Who have you been listening to? Do we even need to hear it from anyone? Guillaume Manru burst into tears. The whole neighborhood is talking about it. Meng Meng, my heart aches for you. Just divorce him and come home to us. Our home will always be open to you. We don't need you to interfere. Xu Meng's voice dropped. How we live our lives. We know best. We don't need you worrying about it. What do you know? Xu Zhengqi bellowed. I think you've completely lost your mind. Give me a straight answer today. He glared fiercely at Xu Meng, enunciating every single word. Are you going to divorce him or not? Xu Meng bit her lip tightly, saying nothing. Not divorcing him, huh? Fine. His chest heaved with fury. I'm taking this house back. Whether you two end up rich or poor, it has nothing to do with the Xu family anymore. Consider it as if I never had a daughter. Those last few words pierced Xu Meng's heart like an awl. I saw her sway on her feet, her face deathly pale. Tears welled up, but she stubbornly refused to let them fall. She looked at her father's twisted face, and her weeping mother who didn't even dare to look at her.